And we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where and when you're watching this show. This is a special pop-up edition, a Q&A with Scott Becker, publisher of Becker's Healthcare, talking about his new book that's coming out, Building Great Businesses. And Scott, so glad to have you back on the show. There were so many people that were so excited about your interview when you came on the Healthcare Leadership Show with me a few weeks ago, that I just wanted to bring you back, talk a little bit more about the book, give us an update on how things are going. And glad to have you, Scott. How are you doing, man?
Oh, Marion, great. No, it's always a pleasure to visit with you. And quite frankly, we could talk about anything. We could talk about healthcare, business. We could talk about how bad my golf game is. We could talk about anything anybody wants to ask any questions about. And I'm just always a pleasure to visit with you. And thank you so much. No, and things are going great. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Scott. And later in the show, we're going to bring on C.W. Hall from the Kinetic Innovators podcast, a podcast that I've gotten involved with and supporting. And you're going to be their very first guest next week. So we'll talk about that. If you're watching live out there on LinkedIn, please let us know in the comments. Let us know where you are and where you're watching from. Also, stay tuned, listen to the whole discussion, because there's going to be some opportunities for you to get some exciting things from us. Scott, you are this incredible leader in the context of healthcare, both as an attorney and also as a publisher with Becker's Healthcare. And we, in our previous show, we really talked about that your history and how this book kind of frames that history a little bit. But one of the things I wanted to ask you today to get started is, on this journey of this book, you have been you've been sharing a lot with the public on about the book and about your experiences and the team that you've built there. What's something you've learned through this work on publishing the book, and
Yes.
sharing the book? But what's that? Tell us about that.
So I love that question. So this is a great question. So years ago, I had written several healthcare business books, healthcare legal books, healthcare business books, and they were all very professional, very nice, and so forth. But they didn't involve a lot of my personal outreach to people.
Yep.
This new book, which is this business book, really focused on business, not healthcare, and it's about building businesses. The good, the bad, the ugly. What's happened here is this is the third sort of book of this sort that I've authored. The first one, it was a purpose-driven book. I was trying to put my collection of thoughts and ideas in one place so that I reference the same ideas over and over again. I try and share those ideas with team members, or as importantly, my children and their friends. That first book, it came out subpar, even though the content was what I was aiming for, but it didn't get to the spot I wanted it to get to. So then I went back at this a couple different times and finally revised the book, rewrote it last summer. And I'm going to get to your question of what have I learned from this. And now the
Yeah.
book is one that I'm more proud of to put in front of people. So that's sort of the starting point. Let's say, it's a B plus, A minus now. No one's going to mistake it for a Pulitzer Prize winning book or for James Collins or for James Patterson, but hopefully it's solid and it will teach and entertain, will people learn something from it. So what have I learned? So we're on a mission to sell, to put in front of people thousands of books, and we don't really care
Mhm.
if they're sold. I'm happy to give people an offer, or I'll send them an Amazon gift card if they text me to buy the book. So I don't. It's not a money thing. It's sort of like it's a continuing to grow professional reputation, be in front of people, learn and grow. And we'll give my text number in a second in case somebody does want to pre-order the
Yep.
book, because we will send you a
Yep.
$25 gift certificate to buy the book. But so what have I learned? So when you put yourself in front of thousands of people, there are two things that you learn. One is that now when the book actually comes out in June, now I've got a
Mhm.
little bit of that stage fright that people will get the book and be like, oh my God, he has so many people to buy this, and this book is awful. So that's one thing. You get that normal fear of like, oh my God, now that actually people are going to read this, so many people are going to read it, that I hope that actually people like it and it reflects well on me professionally and everything else, and that people think of it as like, oh my God, this is good. The second thing that I have found is, we've been reaching out to literally thousands of people to pre-order the
Hmm.
book, and a lot of that's through direct messages on LinkedIn and some other
Yep.
places. And what I have found to be fascinating is, one, how receptive and positive people are, and that's really nice. Of course, for every 100 messages, you get two that say something not nice, but it is what it
Yeah.
is. I'm
Yeah.
asking people a favor to pre-order my book. So that's, but
Yeah.
98% of people are really gracious. 10-15% of people buy the book when they're asked to do it. They're doing me a favor. We are so thankful. And then it's led to so many different, in some ways it's led to so much interconnection, and that's been just a pleasure. I mean, I've had a chance
Yeah.
to visit with so many people that I sort of know a little bit or don't really know their LinkedIn connections, or these connections, those connections, and it's really been interesting. And a lot of those, there's been great interconnectivity with. Like, somebody today is a CIO, and they're like, "I'd love to buy the book. Could I be involved with Becker's Healthcare?" And
Yeah.
we're like, "Of course, we'd love you to. That's our
Yeah.
goals, that people like you involved." So it's given me a chance to visit. It's a great question, because the book hopefully will be fine. I'm a little bit worried now that actually thousands of people might read it and not like it. But two, it's given me a chance to visit with so many people, and I am aware that I am asking people to do me a favor in buying the book. It might be a $22 favor, but it is a favor. And so when
Yeah.
people respond to me saying, "Hey, can I get on the phone with you and ask your advice? Can I talk to you about this? Can I do this? Can I do that?" I'm not just obliged, I'm gracious to say yes, because people are doing me a favor. But when you reach
Hmm.
out to thousands of people, you realize, oh, I better be prepared for that. And people have been very, very, people have been incredibly gracious. I
Yeah.
am and I find it fascinating. I mean, I've been through a few good businesses. I'm constantly working on stuff. I find it a really, really interesting opportunity to visit with and interact with lots of people, far, far more than I would have expected. And you get on certain
Yeah.
things, one person listens. You get on other things, there's hundreds on. You
Hmm.
learn sort of, I've committed myself to probably too many speeches over the next 6 months, and usually I'm very, very careful about how much travel and how much speaking, because I try to protect
Yeah.
my schedule to make sure I can go see my kids, make sure that Liz and I can do what we want to do, things like that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
do the normal obligations. But so there's a lot of things that come into this kind of campaign and effort, and it's really interesting. I mean, I couldn't do it every year, but it's really interesting. And so I've had a chance to visit, like you and I have been on your show a couple times now. We'll
Hmm.
have you back, and just email to get you back on the Becker's Healthcare podcast. But what a pleasure! I've always liked you a great deal, but what a great opportunity to visit with you a couple different times and learn more about what you're doing. And so there's these interactions to me that are really, a tremendous pleasure. And then, trying to always connect dots, and make sure that it's helpful for what we're trying to do, but also that people
Yeah.
enjoy it, and I mean, it's so many different people. So, like, one of the most interesting conversations I had was somebody who I emailed, and
Yeah.
they said, "Well, this is the stupidest message I've ever gotten. Can you pre-order the book?" And then, of course, we end up, of course, I'm a
Yeah.
person that by nature prefers to be liked versus not liked. And so it's a little
Yeah.
embarrassing when you're asking 2,000 people for a favor. So then we get on the phone, have a very nice conversation, and,
Yeah.
because people are sort of surprised to get a message from our virtual assistant or whoever, and then
Yeah.
then talk to me, and they're like, "Oh, it really is you trying to sell books. It's not just a scam." I'm like, "Yeah." So we've had a lot of those conversations, and a couple of them
That's
are
hilarious.
quite meaningful, and they're
Yeah.
people are, as always in our country. You hear so much bad stuff on the news. What
Yeah.
I find is that, one, I'm a huge fan of people putting forth effort and putting themselves out there. So when I do it
Yeah.
myself, I have to be sort of like, take the good with the bad. And
Yeah.
second, what I find is people are incredibly nice, are incredibly
Yeah.
nice. Not everybody wants to buy the book, and God bless them,
No.
but they're very, very nice, and they've been very receptive. And you get a few people that are like, "Oh, what, are you kidding me? Why should I buy your book?" And I get that, and that's okay. And it's, so it is what it is. But no, it's been really an interesting exercise.
What a great exercise. And checking in live, and thank you for doing that. Elizabeth Brinkley is checking in from Nashville. Elizabeth, good to see you. Kelly Fraser Johnson is checking in from Madison, Georgia. Felipe is checking in. Felipe also it says, sounds like an interesting book with a different perspective. And Felipe has got a great following on LinkedIn and is one of the top HR thought leaders around. And I really appreciate that. Felicia Clone, my friend down in Dallas, Texas, is checking in as well. I will say, you gave me the opportunity to pre-read the book. And for those of you who are skeptical that it might not be a good book, let me tell you, I read a lot of books, and most of them are not that great. Scott's book is outstanding, and here's why. And Scott, I'd love for you to speak to this for a minute, and then we're going to give everybody an opportunity and bring CW on in just a moment. But here's why I think this book's great. First, you get right to the point. You get right to the point of the book. You share your anecdotal stories, but you really give us some value, like jumping right in. And there's a call to action throughout the book. There's call to action. So I think that's the second thing, getting to the point. Secondly, the call to action. And third, even though it's somewhat, the book is centered on entrepreneurship or individuals, people, solopreneurs, or people trying to build companies or build, mega companies like you have with your law practice and with Becker's Hospital Review and Becker's Healthcare. There's so many takeaways for people who are trying to grow within their own careers, just within their own company. So those are my 3 points. What are your thoughts? Did I frame the book the way you wanted it? Because that's the way I saw the book.
No, I love that. Our original book that we did talked about business growth. It also talked about investing growth, because so many people are all over the board in terms of where they're at in investing. And I spent a lot of time thinking about it, trying to learn it. And then we spent a lot of time on career development and professional development, because so much of what we do is people thriving with you in their careers and side by side. And we spent a lot of time that, the first book was written, as much as anything, a collection of investment and personal career ideas, as much to share with my children and their friends as anybody else. And the kids are adult children. They're in their 20s and successful and doing great and nice kids, which is the most important thing. They're nice kids. But there is a lot of discussion about careers and just general growth and personal growth. This book is more framed back to be really focused more on building business. And that came out of some professional criticism that I had to pick a lane in the book that I was writing. But no, I appreciate that very much. And that's got to seep through, because so much of it is, whether you're building a business or building yourself, there's a lot of similarities in trying to double down on what's good for you and what you're trying to do. The thing I'll mention, and I know you mentioned Felipe, but this is true of anybody. I'm going to give everybody my text number. And if you send me a text, we will send you an Amazon gift card for $25 to pre-order the book on Amazon. We'll send you the link if you don't have it. But it's $20 book. We'll send you the $25 gift card to cover it. But my text number is 773-766-5322. And anybody that texts me, we'd love you to buy the book, pre-order the book, the hardcover on Amazon. That's all that counts towards these lists and stuff like that. Pre-order the book on Amazon hardcover. Send me your text number. Text me at 773-766-5322, and we'll send you the money to cover the cost of the book. And we appreciate you so much doing so. So you're not by taking my gift card to buy the book, you can say I'm doing you a favor, but the reality is you're doing me a favor. So I'm very, very thankful. So please feel free to do so. If you've already done it, I see a couple names that have already done it. Do it again, and I'm happy to send you a $25 gift card. I don't think I'll get dinged for having people buy a couple books and share it with a friend or another business person that might enjoy it. So thank you.
We will paste the link. Yeah, in the comments, I pasted the link to Amazon. And I want to add to that, and I'm going to bring CW on. CW Hall is the moderator and the interviewer and the developer of Kinetic Innovator podcast. He's going to come on in just a moment. Want to add, for those of you who do buy the book, we're offering 2 other things. And this is my effort to support Scott, because I believe in the work that he's doing. I believe and I appreciate our friendship and appreciate the book. And I do very much appreciate the book. If you send Scott a text and tell him that you pre-bought the book, if you will also let me know via DM on LinkedIn here, can get a 15-minute coaching session with me for an interview, being strategic in any future interview, or if you have an annual review coming up, I have a complete model for coaching people how to have the most impactful discussion with their boss when it comes to their annual review. We're offering that for free as well to support that. So send me that message on DM after you text Scott. The link to the Amazon book order is right there. I want to bring up on the stage C.W. Hall. C.W. Hall is an incredible guy that works at Aegis Health Services, a company, one of my clients that I'm involved with. He's director of clinical operations and but he has this huge background in podcasting. And CW, introduce yourself, introduce the Kinetic Innovator podcast that Scott is going to be on next week as your inaugural guest for what I believe is going to be one of the best podcasts out there. CW, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Long-time listener, first-time caller for the Healthcare Executive Show. Pleased to be here. Nice to be on with Scott. And yes, happy to have Scott joining us for our first official episode of the Kinetic Innovators podcast coming up next Tuesday, 1 o'clock Eastern. And we'll be talking about innovation. He's obviously somebody that not only did a little bit of innovating himself to launch what became Becker's Healthcare Review, Hospital Review, and all the channels associated with it. Obviously, sharing some of that knowledge now with people that are coming behind with some nuggets of truth of how he got to where he was, some knocks he overcame, and I'm looking forward to get into that with him. That's great.
CW, I can't wait to visit with you and excited to help launch the Kinetic Innovators podcast. We love what you do. We love what Marion does. I tell you, Marion, I'm going to DM for that free 15 minutes because I love getting a chance to talk to you. So everybody
you got
remember,
it, man. You're in.
DM Marion Spare's car. CW, I'm looking forward to visiting with you too. Thank you so much.
We came up with Kinetic because it's of or relating to movement. And you know, we want to feature people who are not only innovators of good ideas, they're coming up with cool new ways to do things. We want to feature people who are putting these new ideas into practice, changing the way that healthcare is delivered to patients, hopefully saving our healthcare dollars, especially for the patient, but our overall spend as a nation. I see plenty of articles on Becker's review talking about costs and so forth. So being able to bring some of these folks online and shine some spotlights onto some good ideas that are not only just good ideas, but they're actually being implemented with some good results. I'm excited about getting into that a little bit more as I get it going.
Thank you so much, Marion. I tell you, your reach and CW's reach is magnificent. It's really impressive. I'm sitting here as we're talking and already see a bunch of people that have messaged me for the book. And so when we get off the podcast, I'll go to Amazon and start sending out gift cards. We appreciate it. We appreciate it so much. You know, very, very much. Thank you, folks, so much.
Well, you're welcome. And so I got to, and we only have a few minutes. And if anybody and by the way, if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay, post in the comments if you have a question for Scott. Scott, I do have a question, and it involves CW. And one of the things that the reason we got so excited about you as an innovator is that you've taken chances. Like you've built this idea that you had and you just took chances and build on it. And it became, you went against the grain. And you talk about that a little bit in the book. One of the things you talked about in the book is if you're, and I'm paraphrasing, but you said, if you're not making people a little bit uncomfortable, this is the paraphrase, maybe you're not doing the right thing, you know? And I love that. Like, so talk a little bit about how you took that innovative approach to what you did and how it's turned into what it is now.
So there's multiple different pieces to that. I'll just go through 3 or 4 very quickly. One, I'm an iterative, incremental learner. So I dip my toe in, I push forward, and then decide, are we doubling down or not? And so that's one. Second is, anything you do, you're going to have naysayers. You're going to have people that say like, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that. And again, I think you have to like, you can respect the naysayers, but you can't listen to them. If you're serious about almost anything, you could figure it out. Like I've seen people build businesses that have almost no personal skills, no this, no that, but have tremendous grit and wanted to build a business. I think most people could do something if they push forward through it enough and they try hard enough and they do so. So you can't listen to the naysayers. The third thing is, it's almost like what we talked about a few minutes ago. When we start sending out thousands of messages, please pre-order the book, you're going to get some people that respond back. And it's a small percent because people have been incredibly gracious, incredibly nice, just incredible. But you get a small people back that say the nastiest things, and I can't, it's one of my assistants that will send out the first message to a lot of people. I can't have them or me get discouraged. You follow me? I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, this is the part of the game of putting yourself out there. And it ultimately means, like when I get people that unsubscribe to my newsletter, in some ways, I have to view it as almost a positive because it means it's getting through to people that are getting it. And if people aren't unsubscribing or some people aren't subscribing, it means we're not
Yeah.
getting through to anybody. You follow me? And you have to
Mhm.
sort of look at all these.
Yeah.
When I did my first newsletter 30 years ago, before it became Becker's Healthcare, a physician colleague of mine, a friend from college, not a close member, a friend said, oh my God, I use your newsletter as toilet paper. And you have to make a choice at that point. Am I done or am I pressing forward? And
Yeah.
anybody that's been in business has so many of those situations in life. You ask
Yeah.
your boss for a raise, they say no. Okay, do you move forward or you just keep on plugging through? Oh, everybody has. You have to have those experiences. When we started to get a little bigger in the surgery center space to begin with, the competing magazines started to write nasty things about me. And you have to view it as, okay, at least you're in the arena.
Yeah.
You're getting, there's a great phrase. I don't know who said it. It wasn't Teddy Roosevelt, but it was somebody that said, "You're not really in the game until you get punched in the face." And we tell our people that, salespeople in some ways have the hardest job in the world. So like for salespeople, and a lot of people think they want to be salespeople because salespeople get paid well when they're doing well, but salespeople get said no to a lot, and they get a lot of doors closed on them. And part of the thing you have to, and people find they've got the grit for it or not, but you have to tell your
Mhm.
salespeople, if you're getting the door closed on you, then you're at least knocking on doors. You're at least out there
Yeah.
doing it. And so many people, whatever they're trying to do, get paralyzed by the negative, or they get paralyzed because they're scared to get that. And it's hard. Nobody likes some of the messages I've gotten, from responses or requests. Hey, can you pre-order the book? You get a couple of those. And this is life. But anything you're doing, you're going to have that. You're innovating something. I mean, it just is what it is. But I'm a big believer. Don't listen to the naysayers. I'm also a big believer in a phrase we use called love your 90 percenters. So if you have people that do 90% of what you need them to do great, you better love them. Don't focus on that 5 to 10% they don't do great. Love them for the 92% they do fantastic. That's another one of our core thoughts. The other thing we think about in workplaces,
Yeah.
businesses, everything, they have to be thrive cultures, not top down cultures. I mean, there is leaders, there's other whatever, but everybody's got to thrive. Your best people, you can't set it up so they're always your number two. They at some point have to be a number one too. So you're trying to
Yeah.
build thrive cultures, and we try and teach people. In some roles, you're going to be a number one, some you're going to be a two, and you're going to flex back and forth. But thrive culture. So I love those three concepts. Don't listen to the naysayers. Love your 90 percenters, thrive cultures, and to go back to when you said, if at some point you don't get punched in the face, you got to learn to love it. It means you're in the game,
Yeah.
and don't get yourself killed, but once in a while,
Yeah.
get yourself punched in the face means you're in the game.
Yeah. I'm convinced that rejection has turned out to be my superpower. I've gotten rejected and been told no so many times. Like, I've been over and over again. A couple speaking things that I applied to in the last couple of years. No, we're going to, we're going to not invite you. We appreciate you. There were other better speakers. And then right after that, I got a major paid speaking gig as a keynote. You know what I mean? Like it was like, okay, here we go. Here we go. CW, in the last few minutes, it's the way to go, you know?
I will say, you were talking about the as an author, you put your work out there, and now you're going to wait and see how it's received. I too had the opportunity to read a typesetting copy of the book, so I've been able to actually dig into it before it's been dropped to my mailbox. And what I will say is the foreword by Jessica Cole says a lot about what interacting with you as a business leader can bring somebody. I thought it was quite an impressive forward, and the comments that she made about working with you, I think, gives the reader a decent idea of what they're going to experience in the book. And then the thing to tag on to what Marion had said earlier, it's not a really long book. It reads very fast, but having listened to you speak now a couple of times on podcasts like this and opportunities to speak to you, your conversational style really comes through in the book. So it's essentially as though you're reading it, or basically speaking it. It's a very easy to follow, easy to listen to, if you will. Reading it, I don't think there's going to be a lot of complaints about the content of the book. And you really do get straight into it. There's not a whole lot of fluff of wherefore, therefore, kind of meat. It gets right to the point and is easy to follow and read.
Well, thank you so much. No, this is the goal. It's always challenging. One of the books that I did earlier, we wrote and then we recorded an audiobook version of it. And that's a very awkward thing because when you go through and actually word by word do your audio version of a book that you wrote, like, oh my God, that sounded stilted. Oh my God, because it's just a very interesting exercise. But I appreciate your comments so much. It's so much. And Jess has been with me forever and is the best partner leader ever. So I appreciate that comment so much. She's literally been magnificent. She's been, I built this thing, the content side of it. She was able to figure out how to commercialize and grow Becker's Healthcare. And she's really, you have ride or die partners in life. She is a ride or die partner. She's been just literally remarkable. Somebody said to me years ago, she's the best person you ever aligned with or hired or whatever. And I was talking to that person recently, and I reminded him he said that 10, 15 years ago. And it's really true. And I've had a chance to have really, really close colleagues in the law firm as well that have been unbelievable, thrive, ride or die partners too. But no, it's all about that. I mean, it's literally all about that. So thank
The
you.
tone of the book, it feels, I can do a little cooking, a little baking, and when you find a great recipe that works out and it's not too hard to execute, you want to share it with people. When I read the book Building Great Businesses, it really kind of feels like that's where you're coming from. You've had the opportunity to cook this recipe a few times and see where it has a tendency to maybe go sideways. So the passion that you're coming to the reader with about, hey man, I've done this several times now. Sometimes it didn't work, and here's what we saw as to why. Here's how I would encourage you to proceed so that maybe you can avoid some of that pain. That's how it felt as a reader, coming to what the author has to say.
Thank you very, very much. And I can't wait to visit with you next week. So thank you.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
and I
having
know
me pop on here, Marion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. See, I mean, we'll post a link in the comments too to the Connect Innovators page so they can follow. CW, thanks for joining us. And we're going to wrap up here in just a minute, but you got a big fan in the audience. I'm going to bring her post up. Kelly Fraser Johnson, who's a professor at UGA and also a marketing consultant and has her own coaching program. She says that this is. She has her students in the MHA program really focus on Becker's articles. They have to do this 8 times a semester. So she loves using your content as a teaching tool. So Scott, Kelly, thank you for that comment. And Scott, you're helping
Kelly, God
future
bless you
leaders
every day. No, well, Kelly's a leader, and I'm always happy to see Kelly's name makes my day. So Kelly, thank you so much. You're the best. Thank you very, very much.
Good to see you. So if you'll share your your number again one more time, If you order the
Yes.
book, and there's a link in the comments. If you order the book, Scott, tell them how to connect with you, and then I've got 2 other offers on that, and then we'll wrap her up.
Please, thank you so much. So yes, if you pre-order
You're
the book,
welcome.
the hardcover of the book at Amazon, and the link is there, or I'll send you the link if you don't have it, and you text me 773-766-5322, we'll send you an Amazon gift card to cover the cost of the book. You'll have a couple dollars left over, which isn't worth a lot anymore with inflation and everything else, but we'll send you the $25 gift card to order the book. Thank you so much. Again, 773-766-5322. Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you order the book, you pre-order the book, and connect with Scott on that. Connect with me if you're interested in a 15-minute interview coaching session with me. I think I have a science around best interviewing. If those of you have never seen my show or don't know who I am, I've been in the executive search and leadership development world for 34 years. And the behavioral science behind interviewing is one of my key focus. Or let's say you have an annual review coming up. There's a process that you can prepare for that. Also, if you're a clinical leader and you want to connect with one of my colleagues also, and are interested in how to transition from being a clinical person to clinical leadership, Doug Gregory, who's the EVP of Business Development for Aegis Health Services, who's a nurse who made the transition from bedside to executive in the medical device and now clinic operations side. He's willing to offer a 15-minute coaching session as well. So DM me for those as well. Felicia said she ordered the book, no gift card needed. But Felicia, you could still take me up on my coaching if you need it. I know Felicia probably doesn't need it either. Oh, she didn't know. Wait a minute. Here you go. She's going to take me up on that, Scott. So here we go.
And Felicia, God bless you. Send me a text if you want to. I'd love to send you a gift card. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Marion, CW, thank you. Felicia, thank you. What a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for being on the show, Scott. Thank you for doing this pop-up. We'll talk to you soon. I'm Marion Spears-Carr. This is the Healthcare Leadership Show, special pop-up edition. Just bringing you all my networking update from Scott on his book. Go buy the book. Connect with me. If we're not connected, send me a LinkedIn connect request. Connect with Scott. Scott, have a great day. We will talk to you and see you soon.
Looking forward. Thank you so much. Thank you, folks. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.